So hey guys, today we're going to talk about Presearch nodes, how to get them set up, and the technical walkthrough to them. I'll just say on the offset, normally what I would do is on this channel I plan on doing a deep dive first into what the project is, and then a second video on the how-to. This is in a little bit backwards order just because I think with the news that just came out about Presearch, a lot of people have done their deep dive. I still intend on doing it, but I had so many people asking for this that I decided we'll just do this video first, and then I'll at a later point do a more of a deep dive into what Presearch is, how it works, as there's a lot to cover there as well. So I just want to say on the offset, thank you so much for subscribing. It's humbling to have a couple hundred people subscribe before you even have a video out. And this is not something that I thought I'd ever do. It's just Twitter's a little limiting, and ultimately I'm here to serve with the skills, abilities, and talents that the Lord has blessed me with. So it's very humbling for me, and I just want to thank you for subscribing. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so the first thing you need to do here for Presearch, I mentioned this on Twitter. Go ahead and follow me there if you're not following me. It's going to be easier to post on Twitter than it is to just constantly crank out videos, so that's kind of the quickest way to follow what I'm doing. First thing you need to do is fill out this beta sign-up form, right? So just go through this. It's basically a sign-up form asking for approval to run these nodes. After you get approved, you're going to get an email. It's going to look something like this, okay? And in here, it's going to say you've been approved as an operator. And it's going to actually give you a whole rundown of a lot of the links that I'm going to provide you here. Mostly details, instructions about how to get this going, and also how to use the Presearch engine, the actual search engine itself. You can earn free pre just by using the search engine. There's a Chrome extension, and I believe also a Brave browser extension. Every time you run a search on Presearch, you earn free pre for doing it. Okay, so this is one of those kind of cryptify your life kind of things when you take the Brave browser and then you plug this into it, and so on and so forth. So after you do that, after you get approved, go ahead and check out the instructions they have, and as well join the Telegram. This is an official Presearch nodes Telegram group. It's separate from the official Presearch group. This is just for node operators, so I recommend that. Before we get started, I just want to go over the node rewards really quick. I had incorrectly, because on this channel I'm going to say if I said something that was wrong, okay, unlike some other people that run channels, and if they're wrong they just never admit to it. I incorrectly said that you will earn between 3 and 6 pre per day, with most of the pre falling in between that range. That is true, but I was operating off of the premise before they just made a change. Okay, they did just make quite a significant slash to the rewards. I'm not going to go over the mechanism. It's a mathematical equation. It's going to be dependent on your relevancy of your node, the amount of searches, and to a degree the staking. The staking is not as heavily weighted in Testnet, and Presearch is in Testnet, not in mainnet. So keep in mind that. I'll just say this, for me personally, Presearch, ever since I set it up, has always been more of a set it up now for the rewards later, right? This is not something that I did for an immediate passive income source. This is more because I see the massive potential in what Presearch can do. I don't know of any other blockchain-based search engine that is this far ahead, okay? If there is, comment below and let me know. So for me, and you have to take your own approach, but for me, what I have been doing with Presearch has always been with the understanding that I'm going to hold this for the medium to long term, okay? And then once mainnet launches, my assumption is that they will be modifying the reward system, and mainnet is supposed to launch by the end of this year. So that combined with the blow off top of the bull market, you can kind of put 2 and 2 together with that. In my opinion, not financial advice, I recommend Presearch because of the potential later, not so much now. Income-wise, that is. And this is confirmed here on Twitter. The official Presearch page had responded to something that I was following. I don't know if I was commenting on this necessarily, and they said, yes, it's about 15% APY. Okay, so you know, you do the math on that. It's going to be kind of a break-even situation. Okay. The node catcher had posted that, and I corrected him, so you guys can come and correct me on that. All right. I also recommend following them on YouTube. These guys probably, one of the things that really stood out to me when I first found them, aside from the use case, aside from everything else, was how they communicate with their community. I've not seen a better approach of keeping the community informed about what's going on than what Presearch is doing. This is the CEO, Colin, and he does updates every Friday on a YouTube Live. I recommend going back and at least watching yesterday's. Today is September 4th, 2021. Every Friday they do an update. I recommend going and watching this update. Maybe even a couple. I don't know. It's up to you. But if you, I'm going to mute this. But you know, they kind of recap what they've done in the last week and what's going on. I mean, guys, over 1 million searches in a week. It's pretty wild. This is already being very heavily used, even though they're clearly going to be moving forward with some more PR, especially now. So I recommend following them on YouTube and following them on Twitter, of course, but their YouTube page is great. So once you're approved, let's go ahead and talk about getting a VPS setup. So there's 2 that I've used. These are not by any means the only ones you can use, but these are, I'm just going to show you what I've been using. I've been using Vultr, and I've been using iONOS. Now the pros and the cons, if you want something cheap, iONOS is the one that you want to look at. You can get a VPS, and the requirements, by the way, are actually kind of difficult to find only because they're so low. So don't freak out about the requirements. If you find a inexpensive VPS, just go for it. And this can be run on both Windows and Linux. I'm going to show you how to set it up on Linux though. So iONOS, you can get a VPS for $2 a month. So what you want to do is go to ionos.com, hit the server tab on the top, and then you just simply click VPSs and you'll be brought to this page. Go ahead and click See Packages, and you want to select this one on the top right here, the VPS-S for $2 a month. The only thing I don't like about iONOS, the con to this, while the pro is that it's cheap, the con is that if you go through this checkout process, you buy this VPS, you can actually only buy one at a time. There's no way to like buy 3 or 4 or 5 with one checkout. It's really strange. When you actually get the VPS and you're finished checking out, you pay for it, it does take a couple hours for it to show up in your account. And when it does show up in your account, if you go back and you buy multiple VPSs, say you want to run multiple Presearch nodes, they show up in your account as separate contracts. They're not listed under the same window. You can't drop down and just easily connect it. It's just a little cumbersome, I guess, in short. But if you want something cheap, especially with the rewards being slashed, my understanding is people are earning roughly about 1 per day, give or take. That's going to vary, of course. Okay, so you're going to need a cheap option to run this. This is the cheapest. I know others exist. There are some VPSs that if you pay on an annual basis, you can get it for less than $1. Use your favorite VPS. This is just, I'm showing you what I use. So this is my cheap option here. My preferred option is Vultr. And the reason I'm going to show you at the end of this video a way to deploy these servers without ever connecting to them, without ever running any code. Okay? You can only do that in Vultr. There's probably another service that allows it. I'm not aware of it at the moment. I'm going to show you at the end, so stay tuned to the end of this video how to do that. So in this video, what I'm going to be showing you is how to deploy this on Vultr. If you choose iONOS, it's very straightforward. You just go into the contract, click the VPS, you've got your connectivity information in there, and essentially, if you can figure out and follow what I'm doing here on Vultr, you'll be fine following it on iONOS as well. Okay, the other thing I want to mention is I'm going to add a referral link in the description below for Vultr. Use it or don't use it, that's completely up to you. You will get about $100 free for using it. So if you want to get a pretty decent discount, these servers do not cost much to run. So $100 will get you by for quite some time. Use it or don't use it, completely up to you, but I'm going to add it in the description below, along with everything that we look at here. Link-wise, instruction-wise, everything's going to be added in the description below. I just want to touch on something really quick. I know some people are suggesting that you run your Presearch nodes alongside other nodes such as SRX. Do what you want. My suggestion is that you do not do that. Not because it won't run, it'll probably run just fine. The reason I'm suggesting you don't do that is being an IT professional, not someone who is, you know, pretending to be one. Okay, that's not a jab at anybody. That's just me saying that I have, obviously, I do crypto full time, but I have been an IT professional for many years and have worked on things that I'm not really able to mention, but I've seen issues that arise when you try to overtax a server with software that can potentially conflict with each other. I've seen what can happen when telecom rooms, what we call MDFs, are a disaster, where you've got racks completely full, switches sitting on top of racks, servers sitting on the floor, cables strung across the whole room. And yes, it can work, but just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. Okay, so I'm suggesting that you do not do that. I'm suggesting that if you want to set these nodes up, please put them on a separate VPS. You will thank me later if an issue ever arises where, you know, you're trying to figure out what's going on with your Presearch node, and is it an issue with Presearch or SRX, and I'm here to make your lives easier. And it may sound counterintuitive to set up a whole new VPS to make your life easier, but believe me, down the road, when and if you get issues, you will thank me for making your life easier. Okay? Ultimately, do what you want. I'm suggesting you put each node, make it autonomous from one another, put them on a completely separate VPS. Okay, so I'm going to show you the instructions here in Vultr. When you're logged into your account, come up here, click Deploy New Server. For you non-technical people, what's essentially happening is you are setting up a virtual server inside of a physical server. So there's a physical server sitting somewhere. This is spinning up a virtual server inside of it. It's like a server within a server, but it's actually running it on a software level. Okay. Now, in Vultr, your traditional VPSs to run Presearch are going to be about $5 a month. With the reward reduction, that's going to be a little bit of a problem because it is going to be basically a break even, if not like $1 loss per month. So that's going to be a problem. So how do we get around that? Well, if you're not using iONOS and you're using this, there is an option. And it's only available, as far as I'm aware of, in one location, which is the New York, New Jersey location. So you're going to click that. And when you come down, you notice that there's two options here that was not in any other location. And it may be at this point, but I've checked and I haven't found it in any other location, which is this one, which you want to ignore. You cannot use, you can't run a Presearch node on an IPv6 only server. Okay, so just ignore that. It's this one right here for $3.50. Okay, this will basically, this will make it work. So let's go ahead and select that. What you're going to want to do is select Ubuntu and always select the latest version of that. Okay. And all you got to do, if you want to label it, you can. If you wanted to deploy multiple servers, you just up this quantity right here, and you can name each one of them as you see the need to. I'm going to go ahead and hit deploy now. So essentially what's happening is now that server is getting spun up, requisitioned, and set up inside of the physical server for you to then connect to. Okay, so there's a physical server sitting somewhere that is now spinning up a virtual server inside of it. Okay, so it shouldn't take too long. This should only take a minute or so at most. And what we're going to do is we're going to connect into it. I'm going to show you two different ways to do this, line by line, command by command, how to do it if that's the route you want to go. I'm also going to show you, after we do that, how to deploy these without ever doing anything more beyond this screen. Like what we just did would have been it. And I'm going to show you how to do that once we're done. So you're going to see your new server spun up. It will be named Cloud Instance by default. You're going to click into that. You're going to get a couple things in here. Detail-wise, the only thing you really need right now is this IP address. You're just going to copy that. You're going to open up the secure shell connectivity tool of your choice. PuTTY is the most popular. Okay, so when you bring that up, go ahead and paste that IP up in here and hit open. I'm going to ask you if you want to connect with the certificate. Just go ahead and hit OK. Root will always be your default username, go ahead and come back to your screen and copy your password here. I'm going to paste that in there, hit enter. So you've got a whole set of setup instructions here. It's actually really just one command. However, we do need to get Docker updated and installed. Many times it will come with Docker, other times it won't. That, when I say it, that being the server. We're going to assume that it doesn't come with it, or at least that we want to update it. Okay, so yes, this command is here, but I would recommend you get Docker properly installed and or updated first. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to also link this as well. This is the Ubuntu version of getting Docker installed. Okay, I already have the commands in a notepad file that we're going to go over, but I'm going to link this below if you want to go through this. I'm also going to link my commands if you just want to skip past this. That's perfectly fine as well. Okay, so I've got my commands here. We're going to do a couple things first. So this is essentially going to run a update inside of Linux. Okay, that's all that's going to do, is going to look for and update any type of software that needs to be updated without removing anything. Okay. Next thing is we're going to work on the GPG key for Docker. It's going to be followed by this next command as well. Okay, I'm going to hit paste and run this as well. Okay, this is essentially going to get, let's see here. And I should also back up for a second. I forgot to mention this. In this, I've added my own flavor to this command, and what you have here is a pre-assumption that you want to answer yes. So what actually happens is if you were to just copy this command here, and this is just for your own information, you don't have to remember this. If you copy this command here as it's listed in the Docker installation instructions, it will ask you, do you want to proceed? So I put this on here so it just proceeds without asking. Okay? All right. So now we're actually going to get this part going here. Okay. You can run another update here if you want, just in case after you get this installed. I do it just as a paranoia measure. You really don't have to, but I have it in there anyway. Now I have something that's a little different here, which is killing a process ID 2874, and the reason is because in the past when I have installed Presearch nodes, when you are updating in between commands, oftentimes the update can get hung in the background. That update is typically process 2874, and you can kill it with this in the event it does get hung up. Like, for example, if you were to move forward to the next command, you might notice that it says, can't proceed because update is pending, something of that nature. So I'm going to go ahead and just put it in there anyway. Okay, and obviously there is no such process. It's something that I've run into off and on, so it has always been my fix for it. Okay, so at this next point, actually we have one more command to run, my bad. We have one more command before the actual Presearch installation itself. This is essentially finally putting the GPG key in there, doing your updates, doing all of that kind of fun stuff. At this point, we're actually now getting Docker installed. The container and the command line interface of it, that is. Now, as that's running, what I want to point out is this is the command right here that is on. So everything we've done up to this point is basically getting Docker, actually getting Linux updated, getting Docker installed, getting Docker updated, GPG key, all that kind of fun stuff. This is the Presearch node installation command, and you'll find this here. There is something that you need to be aware of when you paste this whole command right here, and you're going to paste it as one command. Right here, you're going to see registration underscore code equals, and I put reg key here. When you get approved for your nodes, you are going to get access to a dashboard that I should have opened. Let's go ahead and open it up real quick. You're going to get access to a dashboard that's going to look like this. This is my dashboard. Okay, and you can see up here I have 36.46 pre because of searches I've run. Okay, but this is your dashboard. It's going to say how many tokens you have staked, your registration code, API if you want to mess with APIs. Okay, different nodes that you have and so forth. Okay, what you need from here is your registration code. Okay, all you got to do is when you come in here, there should already be one. It should already have been generated for you. All you got to do is hit copy. You're going to come back into this command that you need to paste into your server, the very last one. You're going to take this reg key here. Don't highlight the equal sign, but just highlight this. Right click, paste. And now you should see, I'll blank mine out, obviously, but you should see your registration code there. So it should say registration underscore code equals, and then your number. And then there should be a space, and then the rest of the commands. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. I'm going to come back here, and you can see we're finished now. The very last command I should say. Go ahead and paste this in there. It's going to go through its entire installation process, and then once you're done, it should say Presearch, and it's looking for searches at that point. Okay. There's the Presearch logo. Node is listening for searches. You are done. You are done. That's it. Now, what's going to happen is we come back to our dashboard here. You see I have basically 10 nodes at this point, right? So I have 10 nodes. When I refresh, I should see a new node pop up here with no name or anything like that. Let's go ahead and refresh. There it is. This one that says no description. Okay? That's the server side of it. Now we need to finish the node side of it. There's a very easy way to finish this. All you got to do is click stake to the right of your new server, your new node, I should say. You're going to stake 1,000 here. You have to already have it in your wallet. Let me go back for a second and show you that. So you need to have the pre in your wallet. When you get this dashboard, you're going to get a wallet generated for you. Okay? That wallet is going to be where you send your tokens to so that you can stake them to your node. Okay, now if you want to do that, you just hit transfer pre. You hit from blockchain. I'm not going to click it because my address is in there, but you click from blockchain and it's going to give you your ERC20 Ethereum address. Okay, now I will mention one thing. One time, and only one time, I actually had an issue where my tokens didn't show up for a couple days. And I don't know, that was during the London hard fork, so it could have been something else going on. I reach out to support, eventually the tokens just showed up. So if you don't get your tokens right away, just keep in mind, I've had that happen. It took, I want to say 2 days for them to show up. But anyway, you do need to have that in there, and then once you have them and they're available, you'll see up here available to stake. Currently, I don't have any at the moment because I already had my 10 nodes set up. So I'm just going to show you what you would do if you did have them. So you hit stake to the right of your new node. You're going to put 1,000 in here. Sorry, 1,000. And you're going to put a description. In my case, I would put something like Presearch node 0011. I always name it that way, you know, 0012 and so on. Send email on disconnect, send email on reconnect, and I put 10 minutes in here. What that basically means is that you're going to get an email to the account listed when you signed up if your node gets disconnected for at least 10 minutes. That to me is pretty reasonable. 10 minutes is a reasonable time. External URL, you can put what you want in there. This is usually what I do. So going back to your server here in Vultr, once you're logged in up on your address bar, you can copy the link to this, come back in here and paste it so that when you click it, it brings you to your VPS in Vultr that's associated with this. That's the way I do it. Okay, I'm going to put this back to 0 because I won't be able to update it otherwise. Okay, so I'm going to say updated, go back. There we are, node 0011. Okay. Now when you have this staked, obviously you're going to see the amount you have staked, your version, whether you're connected or not, when it was created, and of course the total searches that have taken place on this particular node. So you see this one's got 257, 210, how much I've earned, and so on. You do need at least 1,000 pre before you can claim it, FYI. And you can go and see your stats if you want to see your stats. I'm not going to go into there, but you can go and see your statistics of latency and relevancy score, or I'm sorry, reliability score, and so on. You can see your reliability score here. It's going to vary depending on each server. I mean, I've got these on iONOS and Vultr. I've got them split up between the two in different locations, and there is no. I have had a conversation with some people on Telegram where they recommended putting these in the U.S. West Coast. I have not seen any impact doing that. Okay, so if we were to click this, remember we put our Vultr link in there in the description of the link. So if we were to click this, it brings me to my server. That's the reason why I recommend doing that. And then once you stake your tokens, you're done. That's it. That is it. And so the moment you've all been waiting for, let me go ahead and show you how to do this without ever connecting, without ever doing any of those commands whatsoever, to make your lives even that much easier. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to show you how to deploy these in a manner that's going to save you a whole lot of time, especially if you're looking to deploy a bunch of them at once, and you don't even want to bother with the tech stuff. So we're back in Vultr. I deleted my old server. For whatever reason right now, I can't delete the actual node. They probably have it locked for some reason, but it doesn't matter because I got rid of the actual VPS, so this is just a dummy thing. It's just sitting here doing nothing. They probably got them locked for one reason or another, but nonetheless. So what you want to do is go back in Vultr, and what we're going to actually do is we're going to click this tab on top that says scripts. Okay. Now, I'm going to go back to my code. Again, this will be in the description below. I've also got a GitHub repository that I might add this to. If so, I'll link everything. Don't worry about it. What I'm going to do is actually remove all the spaces in between these commands. That was just to kind of show you what I was doing here. Go ahead and remove these real quick. Okay. So now we've got just one big, block of command that's, separated on a new line. I'm going to copy this whole thing. Okay. Again, make sure your registration code is correct. So in Vultr, we're under scripts. You can create Pixie scripts and you can create startup scripts. We're not going to touch Pixie scripts. We're going to click add startup script. So in here, what's really going on is that you're able to create a script that runs when the server is either booted up for the first time or rebooted. So what we're going to do is just come in here, backspace everything, go ahead and paste your long list of multiple commands. We're going to make sure the type is boot, not Pixie, but boot. Just go ahead and name this something. I'm going to name it setup Presearch node. Okay. Double check, make sure everything's good. There's no issues with anything. Go ahead and click add script. Now, let's go and actually set up our server again. Okay. We're going to go back here, deploy new server. And again, cloud compute is selected. We're going to select New York. I don't know if it's New York or New Jersey. It's New York, New Jersey. I did contact Vultr, by the way, and I asked them, hey, are you guys going to deploy these $3.50 servers anywhere else? They couldn't really give me an answer, so I presume they will. But for now, I believe this is the only location. It is. I'm pretty sure this is the only location that has these. So, for diversity purposes, I like to move these out into different locations, but, we're dealing with profits here, so it is what it is. So we're going to select that. We're going to select Ubuntu, latest version. Select our server down here. Now, again, you can decide if you want to deploy 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever. I'm going to do 2 just for the sake of showing this to you. You could do 1. I'm going to do 2. Now, when you come down here, you're going to stop. You see this startup script. This is the script we just made, setup Presearch node. You're going to click that. Here's what's going to happen. This long list of commands that we have here, right? We put that into a startup script. What's going to happen is it's going to run those commands automatically once these servers get deployed fully. It's only going to run them one time, okay, because the boot scripts in Vultr by default only run upon boot time. If you want to run these again, you actually have to go under the server and do it manually. So don't be concerned with rebooting your server later down the road and it's going to try to set it up again. It's not going to do that unless you specifically tell it to. So what's going to happen is it's going to run this the first time this server gets created, which is good for us because all we're doing is creating it, and it's going to actually install, set up, configure, and do everything without you having to touch the server, without you having to run any commands. It's pretty slick. Okay. I'm going to leave these alone because you can rename these afterwards. Let's go ahead and hit deploy now. Okay, so they are getting installed, requisitioned, set up, and configured. Once it says they're running, you can assume that immediately that script, aka these commands, are going to begin running. Okay, it's going to take, I don't know, 30 to 60 seconds for them to install. When installed means that the servers are getting set up. I would say maybe another 30 seconds or so for the actual script to run. And then when they run, you will have 2 Presearch nodes that automatically get configured without you having to touch the server. And you should be able to go into your dashboard, refresh, and see that they're in there automatically. All you have to do is connect to each one, stake your 1000 pre, and you're good to go. That's all you would need to do. Now, I do recommend, by the way, just because you can do this quickly and easily, doesn't mean that you don't ever have to touch these servers ever. So you can see now running. So right now, as we speak, this list of commands are running right now. Okay, startup script. So what I'm trying to say is you will need to come in here every so often, hardly ever though, to update things, perform some cleanup, some maintenance. I'm going to make videos on that, by the way. I'm also going to make videos as the price of Presearch goes up, and maybe you want to pull this node off of this server and move it to a different server because we're running them in New Jersey at $3.50. It's the only location that has that option, and maybe later you want to move them to LA. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do that at a later point. So no need to worry, don't worry. It's not a permanent situation, leaving them on this server in this location. It's just for the time being to be as break even or profitable as possible. So these are finished now. Now, if everything worked, what we should see is when we go back into our Presearch node dashboard, we should see 2 new nodes that don't have names, that don't have anything going on, just like number 11 here. It's not highlighting that. There you go. Okay, let's go ahead and refresh and see. Okay, so there they are. I cut the video because it took about a minute for them to show up. Okay, so I had to refresh a couple times, but here they are. Here's your 2 new servers. Your 2 new nodes. I'm getting the words nodes and servers mixed up in this video. Here's your 2 new nodes. And in Vultr, here they are. Cloud instance, there they are. There they are on your Presearch dashboard. So you could theoretically, if you had 10 or 20 nodes you wanted to set up, you had enough tokens, you could go back into Vultr and repeat exactly what I just did. Just hit 20 servers, and they would all pop up in here. Again, it did take about a minute for them to show up after I refreshed because the commands were running, essentially. And what I forgot is, the initial update can take a little bit of time, so that's probably what was holding it up. But nonetheless, all you would do is do exactly what I mentioned before. Hit stake, put your staking amount in there, description, URL, again, email, 10 minutes, update, you're good to go. That's it. So again, thanks for joining, thanks for watching. This is a new thing for me. I am very humbled that so many people are interested in the way I do things. Again, there's many people that have Presearch videos, right? But this is just my take. This is the world according to me. It doesn't make mine better or worse than theirs. It's just a different flavor. It's a different take. And sometimes a different take from somebody is all somebody needs to understand something in a different way. So there's no competition with anybody else that's running YouTube channels or Twitter accounts or any of that kind of stuff. But I do want to thank you for watching. Go ahead and share this, like and comment below. Were you able to get your Presearch node running? Did you have any issues? Is there something that I can help you with? Do you have a different opinion about something? And until next time, I appreciate you joining. God bless and take care.